Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to another fabulous interview. I'm so excited today. I am speaking to Trudi Pavlovsky, and Trudi is a coach for coaches, and she is really passionate about teaching her clients to create highly niched and connected courses that deliver value to their clients. She spent the last 8 years, amongst other things, supporting spirited entrepreneurs to bring their big picture biz goals to reality by busting barriers and paving a glittered path to success. I love it. Welcome, Trudi, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here. My nickname is Sparkles.
Sparkles,
so it's kind of like fitting, yes.
Trudy Sparkles. Okay, it sounds very strictly ballroom. I love it.
I used to be a ballroom dancer,
Yeah.
so it's all intertwined.
It's very cool. And I invited Trudi to speak with me today because a lot of people are creating courses. Mm-hmm. So they're entrepreneurs, maybe they're coaches, consultants, doing various things online. Maybe they've been working in the one-on-one space for a while, and then everyone is telling them to, build a course, to leverage their income and build a program. And sometimes you just don't know what makes a great course and what makes an average course, what you're supposed to include, what you're not supposed to include. So I think that this topic is going to be very valuable to everyone listening today. So let's start off.
Excellent.
What do you think? I'm going to just get straight into it.
I'm going
to ask you more about yourself in a minute, but I'm just so excited about this whole topic.
Let's talk courses.
Okay. What do you think needs to be in place before starting to think about putting together a course?
Okay, there's a few things. I think there definitely needs to be a level of experience from one-on-one. A lot of people go, I'll just build a course and like all of a sudden I'll have 50 people, passive income,
Yep.
And it's like, no, you actually need to know your stuff. So that's something that's really important. And a lot of people have this thing, I've read a book, so now I know enough about how to do it. And I'm like,
yeah,
that doesn't gel with me.
Yeah.
And you also need to have the right mindset before you even look at the skills around it. What is your mindset and your focus going into it? What do you want to create? Because it's not just, I'm just going to build a course and set and forget. There is actually a lot of energy and a lot of time that does need to go into it if you want to build a well-crafted course that really connects with your clients and really supports their growth as well. So mindset and experience before you even start to build are definitely two things you need to be looking at.
Yeah, definitely. I got to the point where I created my course because my one-on-one work was just at capacity.
Yeah,
and
that's a great reason to build a course.
Yeah, and it also got to the point where there was something very much that, like, I would say to myself, I can't do a course, and I resisted it for a long time because everyone's money situation is different, and everyone has got a different thing, and we need to look at them individually. But really, I found that I was just kind of repeating myself essentially over and over again.
Courses are great for foundations, and that's another level to start at before you go into creating all of the, here's all the beautiful magic stuff. It's like, if you step your clients through a journey, it's like making sure everybody has the foundations. Then what's the next level to build on from those foundations? So they've got the foundations, they've got that next level. For those that want to continue to grow, what's their next acceleration point? Yeah. Because it's easy to go, I have this awesome thing here, but a lot of people forget about the client journey and getting them to the steps.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lady who wanted to work with more mature women that had recently divorced their husbands, or their husbands had divorced them. But what we found is she was finding all these very, very angry women that weren't ready to take the steps of getting their money and their finances and their living situation and everything back under control. So we had to get those middle steps in, and that's what a lot of people forget about is the client journey through even the course building process.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, how do people know if they create a good course or a not so good course? What makes a great course and what makes an average one?
Okay, there's a few things in here. There's the design component, the facilitation component, and the connection. So from a design component, you really need to understand how your niche processes information, how your niche likes to be taught. Because if you have a niche that's really busy and they want short bursts of information, they just want a really clear, concise action step to take, and you build a course, that an hour-long module that has 20 different key learnings in it, they're going to go, this is too hard, don't have time, and they're not even going to complete the course. So having a really good, solid understanding of your niche, and then, and this is general sort of stuff, but then having a look at when you're building a course, we're giving people, we're excited about our knowledge and we want to just give and give and give. But just blurting out a big, huge chunk of information, just, it doesn't work. It's not, you're not actually doing your clients a favor when you overwhelm them.
Yeah.
So it's keeping it clear and concise. A lot of courses don't have actions for people to take. So it's like, here's all the knowledge, but then people are like, well, I don't know what to do with that knowledge. That's great, I've learned something. And then they go about their business, but they don't actually grow from it. So it's having your knowledge, giving them a form of action to take, something that they can do. So it's not a concept anymore, but it's a part of who they are and part of their life. So they've got the steps to take. And I've been in courses where it's like, watch a video and you're like, what do I do with that? And then the design and facilitation is important. The tonality that you bring to your videos and your recordings, the energy behind that, giving your clients the opportunity to ask questions and to do what we call a point of reflection in your training, where it's like you're delivering information and then it's like, okay, where does this fit into your life? How can you implement that into what you're doing? And from an accelerated learning technique perspective, giving your clients plenty of opportunity to review. So a 24-hour review, a 7-day review, and a 28-day review are ideal, because the way the brain processes information, if you're activating your neural pathways at those times with the reminder that of what they've learned, the brain is going, oh, that's important, we need to retain it. There's some general sort of things. So what I do with my courses is, so for my first e-course, you know, at the start of each week module, before we even begin that week's content, it's like, okay, let's review last week. So that's your 7-day review. It's built into the training. So it doesn't have to be done separately. It can be part of the module. And then there's that accountability. If you haven't taken the action, what's actually stopping you? And then you can course correct people and support people in that process, and they're more likely to actually get the work done.
That's fabulous. I've never actually thought of that. So thanks for that bit of information. I think
my background is live events. So
Yeah.
I used to run a lot of live trainings with teenagers. So, and that facilitation part of it, it's huge. Yeah. Because if you come onto a call and you're like, okay, yeah, so today we're going to go through this thing and blah, blah, and like, people are going to fall asleep. Yeah. So even like with you, for me, I had a huge resistance about getting online with courses and content, because I had the old school belief, no, it's got to be face-to-face, you've got to be live, that's where the connection is. But then I took all of those skills and put it into online. So it was like, we can still do the reviews and we can still do the points of reflection and the accountability and That's cool. So then how do you know, because a lot of people have so much knowledge, especially if they're, you know, very skilled in their craft or what they do. How do you know if you're just basically spewing out a lot of information or teaching? Okay. Client outcomes is always the first thing to think of. It's like, I know all of this stuff. Where is my client at? How can I help them? And like I said earlier, it's like if each module is one really clear outcome and maybe 3 learning points in it, that's a really good standard to follow. It's like, so I teach niching, right? So niche, and then under that it's like, okay, demographics, psychographics, pain points, and childhood to now. So there's those learning points in there, and then it's like, how do we implement that? So we use all the language in the content module, but that's the next week. So there's also that linear progression of learning as well that this flows into this. When I teach that, I use what I taught the week before, and it builds. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's just that for someone who's not or doesn't have a teaching background, it's very hard to know if you're delivering the content in a way that is understood and a way that is actually facilitating a learning experience as opposed to just giving people more and more content. And so I think that sometimes I wonder that as well. Am I giving just information or am I teaching? And just having a clear understanding of what the differences are is really important.
Yeah, so I think that outcome, 3 teaching points, including in their points of reflection so people can stop and look at the relevancy for their own life. If you're teaching live, always asking your guys at the end of each content chunk, do we have any questions? When you know your clients well that are in your courses, you can direct the conversation to them. It's like, this person, you're working with horse riding clients. So in relation to that, so wherever you can, you want to step your clients into their circumstances, into what they're learning as well.
Yeah. Do you think people get stuck on the tech and that's the main thing that stops them?
That's one of the biggest things that stops people. And I do a whole module purely on course building tech and setting up courses, because we see all these trainers out there have amazing sites and it's all pretty and set up and it's this. And, then there's like the $500 to $1,000 budget to set up a site. Then you've got to do the branding. And it's like,
Yeah.
So if you're a startup, you're starting out and you don't have all the bells and whistles, get Zoom, record your calls through that, whether you're using slides or whether you're doing like face-to-face sort of thing. All you need is a Facebook group and to put the videos up in the Facebook group. You don't need the fancy platforms to get started. There are ways to do it. Tech is not an excuse for not sharing your knowledge.
That's
Trust
excellent.
me.
Yeah.
And that was me a couple of years ago, because my former business partner used to do all our tech, and then he was gone, and now I'm like, I have to learn how to tech now. Ooh.
Yeah. And I started off on a platform, and I know that I was just told, well, you can just email. You can just do it by email, and each week they get a module and you can upload it. But I chose to go for a platform, but it's certainly not something that you need to start with.
You don't have to start with it. And I mean, even the platform that I use, there's a free version.
Yeah.
So it really depends. And ask somebody questions, somebody who's doing the courses and got stuff up. If you're not sure, don't sit there wondering, be proactive and go, how did you do that? I need help. And I'm more than happy to answer people's questions around that.
Totally. Now, do you think there's really key things that are missing in most courses? So you said things about, reviewing and going back and doing all of that kind of thing. So perhaps that's one of them. But are there things you see people's courses and you think, well, that's missing and that's missing and that's not going to produce a great result for them?
I think a lot of people, listen to me, I think people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And if you go back to, once again, it's just the client outcomes. So a lot of people think, well, I'll just record a video. But it's like, well, does the client need supporting documentation with that? The easiest way for me to explain it, and I still do this, quite often your ideal client is who you were 5 years ago anyway. So 3 to 5 years ago. So step back into that thing, close your eyes and go, where was I stuck? What did I need to know? What were the things that I learned at that time that moved me ahead? And it also goes back to niche. If you have niche that's highly visual, and you can pick all of this, you can create your ideal client. Do I just need to be told? Do I need supporting coaching calls in there? When you know your niche and know your client and actually put them first when you're building and creating, with some fine tuning, you have the opportunity to get a really course created.
Yeah.
But I know there's some people out there that just want to do the easy thing. I'm going to watch what I say because I don't want to insult people because it's people, like I said, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But if you stepped into your client's shoes and you took yourself through your course and you got to the end of that, what would be the outcome?
Yep.
What do they need and what do you want them to finish with? And have you set them up for success?
Yeah, so interesting.
Mm.
So interesting, because I think a lot of the time you think about yourself and what you're going to teach and all the knowledge you're going to impart onto people. You're not looking at what...
I've built a whole course that nobody bought because I'm just like, this is the coolest stuff ever. Hypnotic language patterns. I'll teach you how to do trance inductions and blah, blah, blah. And they weren't ready for that. This is like 3 years ago. And my clients were nowhere near that. I've used it since in the coach's brainery. Like the content didn't go to waste, but it was nowhere near what people needed.
Yeah.
So save yourself that heartache as well. Do your market research and find out what people's biggest challenge is.
Totally.
Yeah.
And now what about, I know so much stuff and I want to teach you everything. I'm going to throw everything at you so that by the end of it, you've totally got everything covered. What's the danger there?
All right. Well, that's the overwhelm thing. Too much all at once. People are going to go, I don't even know where to start. If you have that much knowledge, so this is what I would suggest for people. All right, write down everything that you know, everything that you can teach on the left-hand side of a piece of paper and just write it all down. And then start looking at that and going, okay, what's a logical progression for my clients? And then just in the middle column, so you do 3 columns, middle column, put it in a logical progression and then go in the final column, you'll be able to start actually chunking out courses, potential content to create, and all of a sudden you've got a logical progression. But be aware of overwhelm and be aware of being too generous. It confuses people, it overwhelms them, they don't take action. But something that I did recently in one of my free challenges, because I way over delivered, nobody needed to buy anything from me after they'd finished. Because, listen to your own advice, Trudi. But yeah, just keep it the main point, 3 learning outcomes. Make sure there's some sort of accountability, follow-up, points of reflection in there. If you're running a long-term course or even a 5-day challenge, make sure in the next day there's some kind of review, or the next week there's some kind of review. And if you want to be really clever, 28 days after the course finishes, do another call where everyone can jump on and you can do that final big review to consolidate the learnings that people have, and then watch people thrive.
That's fantastic.
I reckon that's the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because I know that, it's especially with women, we have also just a real generosity of spirit. We want to just give people everything, and we want to get, make sure they get their money's worth and give them everything. And, okay, so now the biggest question, and this is as much for me as it is for, I'm sure, everybody listening. How do you keep people engaged and not dropping off?
Okay.
Because this is, and I know that there would be people who would put together a course and really not give 2 hoots about it. They'll sell it, and if the people buy it, they don't care whether they finish it or not. For me,
that
it's
breaks
really
my heart.
Yeah, it breaks mine too, because I do not like it if someone has bought my course and done 1 or 2 modules and then disappears. Because it was too hard, or they couldn't fit it in, or they come up with any number of excuses. So how do you keep them engaged, and how do you get them to the finish line?
Okay. Well, there's actually it's funny I've brought this up, because yesterday I was working with the e-course guys, and there's actually some industry standards and some statistics. So just say you've got 100 people signed up for your course. Generally, you'll get 1 or sometimes 2 stars. And they will devour the content, they will take every single action, and they will do the lot. They will be amazing. And then you get 8 or 9 people that do really, really well out of your course. Maybe not quite the stars, but they get a really good result. Mm-hmm. Then you get about another 80 that do bits and pieces, fluff around, get a little bit of an outcome here and there, but generally don't go that next sort of level. And then you get 10 people on average that probably should never have signed up for your course. I think those are stats from a bunch of courses that weren't well designed. but there is an industry standard. And the biggest thing is, if you know that you've built your course to be as engaging as possible, you've got the points of reflection, you've got the accountability in there, you've got the structure right so that it's not overwhelming, not everyone is going to complete the course. And that kills me. But I've had that with people as well. And I've kept in touch with them, and I've said, how are you going? Some people buy courses and then realize, oh, that's not quite what I need right now, or not quite what I want. Some people you let go on their merry way. As a facilitator, I find that I keep in touch with people. I message them, hey, how you going? You haven't logged on. Where are you at? How can I help you? And you can't force everyone to finish the course.
Yeah.
But that's where, if you've done all the other parts of the engagement process, and you know that you've written the best course that you possibly can, then I think we need to be at peace with that as well.
Yeah.
I hate the whole thing where people go, well, I created the course, it's up to them, and they're dismissive. I think that's rude, and I think that's a cop-out. But then there's also these statistics that just, not everyone will complete. And I wrote a list up, and I signed up for 16 courses last year. Some were live, some were online, some were free, most were paid. And I only completed 5.
So then what made you complete those 5 and not the others?
Some of them were live, some of them were relevant, some of them were just too overwhelming. There was just too much. And some of them I didn't actually really factor in the time commitment involved. And then there was a couple of impulse buys in there that was just, I'll just check it out. Not even sure if I wanted it.
Yeah.
And then, I signed up for an email course, and it was just pure sausage fest. And I'm like, no.
And so what's your feeling about, signing up for a course and getting all the content versus getting it drip fed?
I drip feed my content. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of reasons that I do that. If people go ahead too quickly and too fast, they don't have that implementation time. Mm-hmm. So for what I train, people need to actually go out and build their niche, or go out and build the content, or go out and start posting, or whatever they need to do. And if it's too much, people skip. Yeah. And I've been in courses where you get everything all at once, and I've just gone and cherry picked what I wanted to learn. Yeah. And so I robbed myself of the progression and the flow. Yeah. And then there's also that really practical side. I'm going to say it because I don't hold back, is that there are dodgy people out there that want to take all of your content and will look at everything, rip it all off, and then, within that week refund period, will come back and say, I want a refund. Yeah. So there's also a level of protecting yourself and your own IP in doing that as well. Yeah. Totally. But my main thing from a learning perspective is not allowing people to cherry pick and skip ahead, and giving that implementation time. To me, that's smart.
Yeah, totally. And how do you, if you choose to go evergreen instead of launching it and doing it live, how do you still create a connected community that's actually, where you're in touch with people, and, besides maybe having a Facebook group or something like that, how else can you stay connected to people who take the program?
Really interesting, because I was talking to my coach about this today. So my first e-course, I deliver it live 3 times a year. But at the end of last year, I did a beta test on Evergreen. And so people watched the videos and went off and implemented themselves. For what I teach, doing purely evergreen, I'm never going to be comfortable with that, because there's so many nuances in there. And especially for people first building a course, they need that course correction and that guidance. So we're looking at my first e-course now as being so it runs evergreen, and people can watch the videos in their own time, but there'll be like a group call every fortnight, so people can jump in with their questions. And there'll be a Facebook group as well. Yeah. I honestly, truly believe from my heart that 80% of courses need some sort of connection with the facilitator. Because sometimes people are polite, polite by nature. Oh, I don't want to email this question because I don't want to be a bother. And then they get stuck because they're being polite. Whereas if there's a group call or there's the Facebook group and the facilitator jumps into that group and makes a conscious choice to engage with the group and asks questions and, you know, where's everybody at? Who needs a hand with something? Such and such, I haven't seen you on a call for a few weeks. What's going on? Where are you? And what I find is it just creates a really tight-knit, supportive community within the group as well. So,
I mean, I found the same with mine. I tried it evergreen for like a minute and then I was like, especially with money, you know, people really need to hold someone's hand, I think.
All
especially
of the blocks that come around money.
For sure. And I think when people are left to their own devices, they won't do anything because they hadn't done anything beforehand. So, you know, I think that accountability is really necessary. And again, maybe that comes back to knowing your niche. It became very apparent to me that running it live created a different energy, and even all the alumni that had been through it all sort of jumped back in, and you know, several of them, you know, we're going to do this again and it's going to be great. It created a different energy for me and for them than trying to run it evergreen and leading people to study all that stuff on their own and hope that they can make a change.
Anyone who's going to build a course, run it live. I'm not saying never go evergreen with it. Run it live the first 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Because then that way you'll learn where the gaps are. If you're over teaching, you'll be able to see where people are asking the questions. So, you know, if you are going to go evergreen, there needs to be points of reflection in there as well, or you need to answer those questions so people don't get stuck from moving forward. Always run it live the first 2 or 3 times. And take notes as you go. And because I've rewritten my first e-course or edited it and changed it 3 times in 12 months, because the more you facilitate, the better you get and the better your content becomes as well. So never think I've built it once and that's it.
Yeah.
A good facilitator and trainer will always be looking for improvement. Seek never-ending improvement is one of my mottos.
Cool. Now, do you think we're coursed out? Do you think there's too many and people are just getting too picky and they're just not converting like they used to? Or do you think that good courses will still do well?
I think the good courses will still do well, but I think people definitely are becoming aware now of what a quality course looks like and a quality facilitator, and they're watching people. I've had a lady say to me today online, she mentioned one of my offers and we were chatting. She's like, oh yeah, I've been following you for a while. People are always watching. So
it's funny when you get that.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I've never met you before, but you know who I am.
Or some people write to me and they'll say, I read your newsletter every week. And I go, really? I just thought my mum read my newsletter. I didn't know anyone else did. So people are watching, definitely.
Yeah. And people are getting confident now asking for refunds. People aren't settling for yucky courses. And there is, careful how I say this so I don't get in trouble, there's somebody out there that has a particular course and they have a whole heap of conditions in there about being able to get refunds, about you having to do lots and lots of the work. Read the terms and conditions, and if you're not comfortable, explore that, because I know there's people out there that charge a lot of money for courses and make it pretty impossible for you to get a refund. And from what I've heard, their courses are really badly built. I'm going to stop talking now.
Do you offer course audits or anything like that? Is that something that that even exists?
Well, I can definitely help people with that. I'm currently working with Dominique Oyston, and I'm actually rebuilding a course that she created. It was a beautiful course. I love her content, but it didn't have structure. So I'm basically going through the whole thing and pulling it all apart, and we're building a 5-day challenge from it, but we're going to actually put the order, the points of reflection, the accountability, review the flow, and the amount of content that's delivered So yes, if somebody has a course that they're struggling with, I'm definitely able to do that. But I've never actually thought of offering a course audit. That's a great idea. You need your course audited.
Well, now I'm getting a bit paranoid. No. Yeah, but I mean, look, it's one of those things where I think, you know, you think it's good, people have positive, you know, give you positive feedback. It all seems to be working well, but then there might be just that doubt. Well, is it as good as it could be? Could it be better? Is there some things I need to leave out? Is there something I need to add in?
And refunds and not completes are a great benchmark. If you're getting like over 50% of people are not completing or not getting past the second module, okay, you need to look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
If people are asking for a refund after the first week, you probably definitely also need to have a look at what you're doing. Yeah. And it could just be small tweaks that you need to make. I'm not saying your courses are bad, but if you haven't studied learning techniques, if you haven't taught, if you haven't been a facilitator, I've been doing this for 8 years now.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that experience, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you may not know what to look at, but those benchmarks, those kinds of stats, and what I was saying before about that industry average completion rates, if you want to do better and you're not sure where to start, maybe I can do a course audit.
I've just created a whole new business avenue for you. Well, Trudi Sparkles, where can people find you?
I have a website, www.trudipavlovsky.com. The 2 is a whole other story in there. Save it for another day. And Trudi Pavlovsky Official, that's my business Facebook page. That's probably where more of the fun and the action and the lives and the interesting cat stories occur. So come find me, come hang out, come ask your questions.
All the details will be below this video. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you and perhaps build a course or audit their course or just ask some questions, then they know where to find you and they can get in touch.
All you need to do really is Google my name. I'll show up.
That's right. And that's been fantastic. Thank you so much for all of that. I think it's so important because as the course industry is kind of growing, it's
a $1 billion industry now. And
it's good to keep
wants to cash in.
Yeah, and you want to keep the standard up for your clients. We don't want to be, you know, and as women in business, you know, heart-centered women in business, we don't want to be just churning and burning and have, you know, just getting the money and then not caring what happens to our clients.
Churn and burn hurts my heart.
Yes, me too. Don't like it. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Hope that helped.
So. It's been fantastic.
Awesome.
And I've certainly got a lot out of it, and I'm sure everyone who's listening has as well. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Bye.
Bye.